As debt builds up in interest, it becomes a burden and deflationary ultimately if interest rates rise, or even if they don't. Second of all, demographics are deflationary, okay, for the older people like myself, and even in their 60s, don't spend as much. They don't need another house, they don't need another car, they just want to, they need more health care, but that's about it. So that's, and technology is very deflationary from the standpoint of, as we know, computers, but also Amazon. Amazon's deflationary. Boom, the prices are low. So those are three substantial structural situations which aren't changing. Debt's not going to change. Demographics, we know the globe is getting older, and technology will continue. So that's deflation. The central banks are fighting it. Okay, the central banks with their quantitative easing, their low interest rates say, oh, okay, we cannot deflate because the burden of debt is too large. And if we deflate, then companies will go under, and the Great Recession will look like a little fun ride, as opposed to the world's largest roller coaster. So it's this battle between central banks and low interest rates and the deflationary forces that continue to exist. And so the question becomes, can central banks inflate? It's a toss-up. It's that coin flip.
Let's throw fiscal policy into the mix, and let me ask you about modern monetary theory.
I think in terms of monetary and fiscal policy that they're co-joined, or becoming more and more the same, one and the same. It used to be that the Fed and central banks were their own separate thing, and yes, they accommodated the Treasury by buying debt at a certain point in order to keep interest rates low. But as we've seen in Japan, basically the BOJ buys everything that the government issues. They're the same. And in the case of Europe, it's been, in the last 5 years, it's been 30 or 40% of what they issue. In the United States, it was 20% or so for a while, no longer. So so they're almost one and the same. So it becomes and this is almost like the South Sea bubble in a way, if you look at it this way. If the monetary and fiscal policies are together, then why can't the government have a $2 trillion deficit if the Fed is simply going to buy it, like they do in Japan? Well, Jim Grant would say,
Of course he would.
It'd be inflationary.
But
it hasn't. It hasn't been because of these deflationary forces. So. Yeah, I would say Trump or the next president, whoever he or she is, could go to $2 trillion as long as the Fed was willing to accommodate it.